Welcome back to our channel, dear friends. We have some truly jaw-dropping moments to talk about today, the kind that make you want to clutch your pearls. So, get comfortable, settle into your favorite armchair, and let us dive right into the latest drama from Port Charles. Oh my goodness, where do I even begin with the absolute roller coaster of emotions we have been riding lately? If you have been following along with the events happening over at that grand old Quartermain estate, you know that things have taken a turn for the dark and dangerous. I have been watching this show for more years than I care to admit. And I have to tell you, the sheer panic and chaos unfolding right now has left me completely breathless. Just when you think you have seen it all, Port Charles finds a way to pull the rug right out from under you. Let me just spill the tea on what has been happening with Nina Reeves and Drew Kane, because my heart is still pounding out of my chest just thinking about it. Let us set the scene, shall we? The Quartermain estate is always so beautiful with those sprawling green lawns and that picturesque lake. But beneath all that wealth and beauty, there are always dark secrets lurking in the shadows. Recently, the tension between Nina and Drew has been thicker than molasses in January. As I watched the events of the July 27th episode unfold, I found myself sitting on pins and needles. Drew has been confined to a wheelchair, completely immobilized, and the weight of his situation has been hanging over everyone like a dark storm cloud. But what happened by that lake was something straight out of a nightmare, and I honestly could not believe my own two eyes. Nina was standing there with Drew, and the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Out of nowhere, Drew managed to actually communicate with her. Now, you have to understand the sheer shock of this moment. Nina was already wound up tighter than a cheap watch, completely frayed at the edges from all the secrets she has been carrying. When Drew made his presence known in that way, it scared the living daylights right out of her. It was a pure, unfiltered, knee-jerk reaction. In a moment of absolute blind panic, Nina's hands flew out and she pushed Drew's wheelchair right down the embankment and into the freezing waters of the lake. Lord have mercy. My heart stopped beating for a solid 10 seconds. Watching that heavy wheelchair roll down the grass and splash into the dark water was horrifying. Drew has done his fair share of terrible, no good things in Port Charles, and heaven knows he has crossed a lot of people, but nobody deserves to drown helplessly in a wheelchair. The moment the water swallowed him up, you could see the instant regret wash over Nina's face. The poor woman looked like she had just seen a ghost. Her conscience, which had been buried under layers of fear and desperation, suddenly came roaring back to life. She realized the absolute horror of her drastic action, and she started screaming her head off, completely losing her mind on the edge of that water. Thank the good Lord above for young Gio Palmieri. Just when I thought all hope was lost, and we were about to witness a terrible tragedy, Gio came sprinting onto the scene like a guardian angel. Now, Gio is a trained lifeguard, and bless his heart, he did not even hesitate. He heard Nina's frantic, blood-curdling screams and ran straight toward the danger. He has the youth, the strength, and the training to pull a grown man out of that freezing muck. Watching Gio leap into action gave me a glimmer of hope, but the suspense of whether Drew would actually survive that dreadful plunge had me clutching my throw pillow for dear life. It is the kind of edge-of-your-seat storytelling that keeps us coming back day after day. But to truly understand why Nina was in such a state of sheer terror, we have to look back at the horrific chain of events that led them to this watery precipice. We have to talk about Willow. Oh, Willow, sweet Willow. Who would have ever thought she was capable of such darkness? It absolutely breaks my heart to think about what she did. In a twist that left me completely gobsmacked, it was revealed that Willow was the one who shot Drew. Not once, but twice, right in the back. And as if that was not enough to make your blood run cold, she used paralytic drugs to render him completely immobile and silent. She trapped that man inside his own body. It is a chilling, terrifying thought, and it shows just how far down a dark path Willow has stumbled. Now, we all know that a mother's love is a fierce and powerful thing. Nina has spent years desperately trying to build a relationship with her daughter, fighting tooth and nail for just a scrap of Willow's affection. So, when Willow committed this unspeakable crime, Nina did what any desperate mother would do when caught between a rock and a hard place. She stepped in to help cover it up. She became an accomplice to this terrible, sinister secret. When you look at it from that perspective, you can almost understand why Nina snapped by the lake. She was not just protecting herself, She was fighting like a mother bear to protect her cub from spending the rest of her life behind bars. Pushing Drew into the lake was a wicked, terrible thing to do, but it was born from a place of deep, agonizing maternal desperation. While all this life and death drama was playing out in the murky waters of the Quartermain estate, there was another storm brewing behind closed doors. Enter Jack Brennan and Valentine Cassadine. Now, these two gentlemen are as crafty as a couple of foxes in a henhouse. I always get a little nervous when Valentine starts making deals because you just know somebody's going to end up getting the short end of the stick. The two of them managed to strike a very secretive, very dangerous agreement regarding a WSB black box. And let me tell you, this little black box is the key to flipping this entire messy situation completely upside down. It is the wild card that nobody saw coming, and it changes the entire equation of revenge and survival for our dear Nina. You see, Jack Brennan is currently holding on to that black box, and inside it is a treasure trove of damning evidence. We are talking about hard, undeniable proof that Drew Kane has been embezzling funds. White-collar crime might not seem as dramatic as a shooting, but in the eyes of the law, it is enough to send a man away for a very long time. Brennan, in his infinite calculating wisdom, realizes that this evidence is the ultimate bargaining chip. He believes that by handing this proof of embezzlement over to Nina, he can provide her and Willow with the exact ammunition they need to keep Drew completely quiet. It is a classic game of blackmail, and the stakes have never been higher. This brings us to the most agonizing question of all. Will Drew actually keep his mouth shut? If Nina and Willow march up to him and slap down a folder full of Brennan's evidence showing his financial misdeeds, will it be enough to stop him from going to the authorities? After all the pain and suffering he has endured, after being shot in the back, paralyzed with terrifying drugs, and then unceremoniously pushed into a freezing lake, you just know that Drew is madder than a wet hen. He must be burning with a desire to march right down to the Port Charles Police Department and tell them exactly what those two women did to him. He wants justice, and frankly, who could blame him? However, Drew is no fool. He knows that going to the police means exposing his own dirty laundry. The threat of being sent to Pentonville is hanging over his head like a dark, heavy cloud. Now, I do not know about you, but the thought of that dreadful prison is enough to make anyone sweat bullets. Pentonville is a harsh, unforgiving place. And a man like Drew, who has already lost so much time with his loved ones, cannot stomach the idea of being locked away in a tiny cell. The prospect of going to prison for embezzlement might just be the one thing that forces him to swallow his pride and his anger. He is trapped in a corner, forced to weigh his desire for vengeance against his desperate need for freedom. It seems to me that we are heading toward a very uneasy, incredibly toxic stalemate. Drew, Nina, and Willow are all tied together now by a web of terrible crimes and dirty secrets. The recent shocking twists have shown us that after Drew's terrifying dunk in the lake, all three of them had a jarring moment of realization. They are all standing on the edge of a cliff, and if one of them falls, they are all going to tumble down together. Now that it seems Drew has regained his ability to speak, the power dynamic is shifting once again. He has his voice back, and with it, he has the power to destroy their lives with a single sentence. Do I think Drew will cover for Willow and Nina? Yes, I honestly do. The fear of Pentonville is a powerful motivator, and I think he will choose his own freedom over seeing them in handcuffs. But oh, honey, do not think for 1 second that he is going to make it easy for them. I have a strong feeling that Drew is going to use his silence as a weapon. He might keep them out of jail, but he is going to make their day-to-day lives absolutely miserable. He will hold this secret over their heads, pulling their strings and watching them squirm. It is going to be a psychological game of cat and mouse, and I am absolutely here for every single minute of it. The obsession, the fear, and the sheer desperation that Nina and Willow are experiencing right now are completely explosive. They thought they could silence a man, but instead they have created a monster who now has the ultimate leverage over them. I cannot wait to see how they navigate this treacherous new reality. Will the guilt eat Willow alive? Will Nina crack under the pressure of Drew's constant looming threat? We will just have to keep watching, my friends, because the drama in Port Charles is only getting hotter, and I would not miss a second of it for all the tea in China.